Today we're going to discuss some big changes coming in New York City and update you on life in the Big Apple. You don't want to miss this. We are walking around my beautiful neighborhood of Park Slope, Brooklyn, and one of these days I am going to do a video about my favorite places here, I promise. There was more or less a return to normalcy in New York City until recently because of the Delta variant, and as you can see on this graph, the COVID positivity rate in New York is starting to skew up. Now the good news is hospitalizations and deaths have not risen anywhere near that rate.
This is really nice. Is this like a return to fall in August? I'm digging this.
An astonishing 72% of adult New Yorkers have received at least one COVID vaccine dose. And if you haven't been vaccinated yet, they're offering perks up to $100 to do so. And they're also giving away tickets to soccer games, the Statue of Liberty. I believe the $100 perk is only open to adults, although I'm sure a bunch of kids who are 12 and up would love free $100 for something. Just last week, Mayor de Blasio made one of the biggest announcements since the pandemic started. Now, a lot of people were expecting him to return New York City to an indoor mask mandate like Los Angeles did, but no. Starting September 13th, you will be required to have at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose in order to eat indoors at a restaurant, go to the gym, go to any kind of indoor entertainment venue. This is a big deal. Where to begin? I've got nothing but questions about how this is actually all gonna play out. And the big one for me is enforcement. Already officials from Staten Island are threatening to sue New York City, saying that this is against citizens' rights. So we have an entire borough, it seems, upset about this, or at least some elected officials from there. Or what about areas of New York City where a lot of residents aren't vaccinated? What will local businesses do over there? Are they going to alienate a lot of their customers by requiring vaccines to eat indoors, especially in the winter? On top of all of this, I just read a really interesting article on Gothamus about the NYC COVID Safe app, which is going to be one of the ways that you can prove that you're vaccinated to, let's say, eat indoors at a restaurant. They managed to get the following items approved as proof of COVID vaccination: a barbecue menu from San Francisco and a cat in a shoebox. All right, they've got a lot of work to do, clearly, if they are going to get the technology up to date on this, that's for sure. I also think that if you are visiting New York from out of state, that app is going to be one of the ways to prove that you're vaccinated. And as of now, kids under 12 will not need vaccine proof to eat indoors at a restaurant, but this stuff is still developing. There's so much to it, and I'm still really curious what this is all gonna look like.
Literally months of research, and just because it's hard to, get a feel of the place without being there. So
awesome.
Yeah, we loved your Park Slope videos, and we ended up moving to Park Slope 3 days ago.
Pound for that, pound for that.
Yeah.
New York is not the first world city to do a vaccine mandate to eat indoors. It's already happening in Europe. I saw it in Athens, Greece myself a couple of weeks ago. And if you missed our Greece travel series, I did 4 videos out there. Check out the playlist, link down below if you're interested in travel. Amazing content, I promise. I do want to know your opinions about requiring vaccines to eat indoors. Tell me in the comments if you agree with this, yes or no. I'm curious. You will need a vaccine to see a Broadway show. You're also, at this point, gonna have to wear a mask as well. Theaters will make exceptions for children and people with a medical condition or closely held religious belief that prevents vaccination. Patrons must show proof of a negative COVID test taken within 72 hours of the performance or start time, or a negative antigen test taken within 6 hours of the performance start time. Broadway has officially reopened. There is one show that has already started called Passover. A bunch of others are opening on September 14th, and I will be going to The Lion King the first week, and I will be making a video about what Broadway is like in 2021. I have walked by this deli one too many times not to try an empanada. I'm doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get 2 of those?
Espera, look over. I don't want to camera.
They're not both for you. You wish. I've been eyeing these empanadas from the window of Russo's for weeks. I'm finally trying. We got the mac and cheese. I ordered the sausage and peppers, but Adriana said they were really good. Amazing mistake. Amazing mistake. Russo's in Park Slope and the East Village does great sandwiches, but who knew they could do empanadas as well? Welcome back to my apartment. And New York City had a record amount of apartment vacancies, not surprisingly due to COVID and a lot of people not wanting to spend the worst months of the pandemic in their tiny apartments. But what's it like right now, a year and a half, more or less, after COVID started? This June saw a record number of apartment leases signed in Manhattan, and inventory is down 54% from the all-time high this past January. And as you can see in this graph, prices are still down compared to 2019. But they're certainly not at the super cheap levels that they were at before. In fact, I always use my old neighborhood Greenwich Village in Manhattan as a barometer of how the market is doing. So I put in Street Easy studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms for $2,500 or less, and just 3 listings came up as available. Now compare this to when I was looking at apartments last October. There were dozens upon dozens at that level, and even raising it up to $3,000 a month, just 6 listings available in Greenwich Village at that price, $3,000 or less. That's a signal to me that a lot of young people are moving back to New York City. They're seeing advantages to city life. Bars are open again, restaurants are open again. Most of the things that young people come to New York for are there for the taking at the moment. So that is a sign that rents are coming up. I get this message all the time. I live in the EU, I live in the UK. When will I be able to visit New York City again? President Biden a few weeks ago said the travel restrictions will remain, at least for the near future, due to the Delta variant. The United States currently bans most non-citizens who within the last 14 days have been in the UK, 26 Schengen nations in Europe, Ireland, China, India, South Africa, Iran, and Brazil. Now, I do have some hope for you guys out there, and I know you really want to come back. They are in the early works, it's been reported, of creating a program where people will be able to visit the US from those countries that can't enter right now with proof of vaccination. This is in the works. It's being developed. Stay tuned, because when that changes, I'm definitely gonna say something on the channel. Guys, tell me in the comments how things are where you're watching from. I'm curious, do you have plans to visit the Big Apple anytime soon? There's a lot of new content in the works, that I promise. From New York City, guys, thank you so much for watching as always. Till next time.